Hello, my name is Evan Unruh, and I'm going to talk about off-road vehicle emissions regulations. My main claim is that strict emissions regulations have a significant negative impact or effect on the off-road community. I'm going to be talking about how strict emissions regulations hurt small off-road businesses, how strict emissions regulations hurt consumers, and how regulations hurt the off-road highway vehicle areas. The background on this is that on these strict regulations is that CARB, or the California Air Resources Board, was planning on in 2006 on grouping off-road vehicles into a regulation that controlled the emissions of large industrial equipment, such as forklifts. The off-road industry fought back because of the cost of emissions testing and engine reliability standards that did not apply to their vehicles, and that was written into the regulation in any way. CARB's fix was to separate off-road vehicles from other vehicles, set separate emission standards, and retroactively fine manufacturers whose vehicles did not meet emissions requirements during and after the proposal of the regulation. And it was put in 2008. So it was retroactively, it went all the way back to 2006. Strict emissions, my first point is that strict emissions regulations hurt small off-road businesses. Some off-road businesses were hit with excessive emissions fines, which can be up to $5,000 per vehicle sold, and that was according to CARB's website. Small off-road businesses have had to adopt their products to fit inside the regulations, which means they have had to modify their vehicles' engines, which drives up their costs. Small off-road vehicles or off-road businesses were hit so hard, some of them were hit so hard that they went out of business or moved to Arizona, which the regulations are more loose, and that in turn hurts the California economy. Some shops have also started registering their vehicles in Arizona to get past the emissions regulations, and high fines of DMV fees, or high fines and DMV fees, which hurts the economy and the off-road highway vehicle areas. My second point is that strict emissions regulations hurt consumers. The strict emissions regulations drive up the cost of buying an off-road vehicle because of the rise in cost of the actual vehicle caused by the builders striving to stay within the regulations, both emissions and build quality. Strict emissions regulations drive up the cost of owning an off-road vehicle due to an increase of yearly DMV fees and increased engine maintenance to keep the engine compliant with emissions requirements. And my third point is the strict emissions regulations hurt off-road vehicle areas. The emissions regulations will cause people to not use their off-road vehicles as much because of the cost of engine maintenance. And the regulations will cause a decline of OHV areas due to the lack of government resources for upkeep that are either paid for by entrance fees or DMV fees. That's it.
All right, Evan, what you've got is you've got the skeleton for an argument, but you are missing the meat that goes on that skeleton. You've got a very clear statement of the claim. You preview what the supporting points are going to be. You signpost each of those supporting points as you get to it. You kind of explain what the argument is on each of those points, and then you provide no evidence for any of those points. I don't have an example of a business that went to Arizona or anybody who lost a job. I don't have any information about how the costs have increased. There's no data on what the decline in fees are for OHV areas are. I just get a lot of assertions on these points. And so you've got the structure of an argument. You've got claims for an argument. What you're missing is the grounds for the argument. It's hard to make an inference if you don't have some data on these points. Now, I suspect that you probably have some data, but it didn't get presented in the speech. And so that's the big weakness here. I think your pacing on the presentation is a little bit inconsistent. You need to be a little bit more fluid. It sounds a little hesitant, sort of like you're going through this for the first time, and you want to make sure that you are a little bit better prepared on the delivery issues. All right, thank you.